In 2013, Nord-Pas de Calais decided to start its own revolution. More than simply a movement, the breakaway became known as the Third Industrial Revolution. An experiment to propose a new vision. This is the story of a region that invents a three-dimensional outlook and enters the Third Industrial Revolution. This is how Nord-Pas de Calais is making history. From one revolution to the next, the industrial region symbolizes the First Industrial Revolution. With its steel and coal, provoking economic development and international exposure that ended with the coming of the oil age. But Nord-Pas de Calais never gave in. Ideas, strategies, symbols, taking up challenges, changing, evolving. The time was ripe.
Monsieur le Président, Sénateur, Messieurs les Sénateurs.
President, Senators, Deputies, be with us and be assured of our support. Demand the right to launch the project in our region, the Nord-Pas de Calais. Let us join forces and together say to government, let us do it. Trust us. Give us our chance. Let the Nord-Pas de Calais lead the Third Industrial Revolution.
In other words, make history. A history first imagined by the American theoretician Jeremy Rifkin, and one the Nord-Pas de Calais has decided to bring to life. The location is ideal to turn it into a reality, a symbol of societal and sustainable change. Here is how and why all the stakeholders formed a team: politicians, industrialists, public organizations, entrepreneurs, all together to identify the potentials of his vision. Reacting for the future and the major issues of energy and demography the 21st century holds.
The reason that I'm guardedly hopeful that this region can be a flagship for others is that you have the expertise, you have a deep industrial history, you understand industrial processes, and you have the passion and the commitment and will to honor the past. It's in the room.
Jeremy Rifkin takes to the stage, positively focusing on the future of the Nord-Pas de Calais. The region asks him to draw up a master plan, and 9 months later, from theory to practice, the region becomes a life-size model of the Third Industrial Revolution. The concept presents a new economic model based on energy efficiency, with renewable energy sources, positive energy buildings, energy storage capacities, and energy internet and smart grids. It also means reinventing the transportation of people and goods, developing a circular economy and a functional economy.
The great economic revolutions come together when new energy regimes merge with new communication revolutions. But those communication energy matrices are important in another sense. They change the way we think. They change our tempo-spatial orientation. They change our culture, our politics, the way we organize life. This Third Industrial Revolution is a game changer.
The Third Industrial Revolution is the result of a collective dynamism that has already begun, led by the region's leading lights, giving the Nord-Pas de Calais a new identity. The question is how to implement the transition and evolve towards a new economic model. This is where the hard work begins. So where to start? To change the equation and understand how to fight against climate change, I took something the region is reputed for as a starting point: its climate. Known to be capricious, windy, and wet, what about reversing the situation to qualify this as an asset?
It's a hybrid system combining wind power and photovoltaic panels. And because the house is autonomous, this means no hookup to the grid. They produce and use as required.
Change. This also means changing our usage, the energy sources, how we consume and move towards true autonomy.
We also try and use materials that are as natural as possible. Behind you, you can see a windmill whose pole is made of separate parts, so it is easy to transport. We would also like to produce solar units from organic substances and natural elements. There are so many possibilities, so literally thousands of job opportunities. There's not one solution, there are many solutions. As for fuel poverty, what is sure is that we have the land area necessary to install sensors to use the wind. It's all about thinking, intelligence, bringing together expertise, and finding some money to invest. And of course, we are talking investment, not invoicing.
Air, wind, sun, light, water. Does this mean zero cost? What if these natural elements are the suppliers of a clean, borderless, and unlimited source of energy? May as well use it. Just look at the vast seabed, not a drop of water to waste.
This is a tidal turbine with an undulating membrane. The current moves the membrane, and the movement is controlled by a series of power generators to create electricity with double the performance of current turbines. Ours are the third generation of tidal energy converters based on disruptive technology and biomimic mechanisms. The membrane acts like a fish swimming.
Getting energy from nature is possible. This includes the Earth itself, particularly when it comes to green waste that represents unparalleled efficiency. Here we have an enormous compost heap.
Composting was the first step, and with composting, as we are outside, we couldn't capture the energy. The temperature rises to 70 or 80 degrees, but this was impossible to capture it. This led us to think about the possibilities of methanization of the green waste to capture the energy, namely the gas, and recover the energy, followed by a waste recycling process.
I'm impressed by this technological prowess. We really are in a circular economy that offers many possibilities. Rethinking production processes and consumption is one of the pillars of the third industrial revolution.
People have to understand that with the third industrial revolution, by providing the region with a sustainable solution, we'll create economic activity, jobs. We are going to produce local energy, gas, fuel, everything, and prepare future generations for a new type of consumerism.
Will reason win over the race for profit? If climate change negotiations are pursued, solutions will be found by those who create them, particularly to respond to the issue of fuel poverty. That is really important in the Nord-Pas de Calais. There are eco-districts made of eco-materials. To enhance well-being? Maybe the solution can be found even further on with a full system of communicating devices in each home.
Each building has a box whose role is to make each home a smart home. Via the box, we can exchange information. First, collect consumption data, temperature data, then send the information to the building concerned, for example, the weather or energy prices, and give this information to the client. Then we set up software solutions to provide simple energy management solutions, since this is complex in any building, with the heating, air conditioning, lighting. This constitutes a technically complex environment. Then comes a software suite to simplify the technical environment, then a software suite to automate the building, which relates to the building's intelligence and the ability of the building to manage itself according to weather conditions and also its inertia and position in relation to the sun.
So, my building is intelligent. Makes your head spin. To learn more, I visited an Energy Plus building. This time, the hunt for even the smallest loss of energy begins at the construction phase.
We managed to do this thanks to innovations we performed on the building itself, a dry structure, insulation with the latest generation of materials, digital modeling that helped us understand the building. In fact, we built it virtually before really building it. which allowed us to study it from all angles and identify all those areas where there was thermal loss and eliminate them to be at this level. This means the building produces more energy than it uses. It is a passive building, extremely well insulated, with a high level of thermal inertia, air and dust proof. Its heating needs correspond to those of a boiler for an apartment, so extremely low. This represents a breakthrough, and energy efficiency is something our firm specializes in, and this was an opportunity to demonstrate our expertise.
So energy efficiency results from a technological innovation you developed.
We want to be the ambassadors of energy efficiency. It is obvious it is totally in line with the third industrial revolution.
The promotion of low-carbon buildings is part and parcel of Nord-Pas de Calais region's 100,000 housing project, an energy rehabilitation and environmental project for its housing stock. Lower energy bills and the creation of jobs in the building sector corresponds perfectly to the objectives of the third revolution. And if I was the advocate of Rifkin's team, I see that here we act sector by sector, each sector being a link in a chain, both up and downstream, moving towards a more dynamic economy with shorter and shorter circuits. So what about energy storage?
We have the potential as far as the resources are concerned. This is an agricultural region with a high population density. This also explains why we have a dense gas grid and that historically we have always needed gas because it is not the warmest of regions in France, and gas was needed for heating and for industry. So why not use the grid, benefit from it? And we are going to make the most of it by injecting more and more renewable energies into it. This renewable energy can be made from a range of different processes, including photovoltaic and wind turbines. It can be transformed into hydrogen by electrolyzing the water, and this hydrogen can be added to the CH4 grid. In other words, we enrich the CH4 with H2, or methane with hydrogen. And if we inject rates of around 10 or 20%, it can be used domestically for heating purposes, for cooking, or even transport. Because in Dunkirk, there are buses that will run on hydrogen-methane mix.
These innovative processes are worthy of the greatest chemists and are totally revolutionary. The key to all our problems of access to and dependence on energies.
This is the Organic Recovery Center in Sukedan, located right opposite a bus depot with 150 natural gas vehicle buses, or NGVs. Even better, they are organic NGVs, since the organic methane that is produced in the Organic Recovery Center is injected into the network, and the network supplies the bus depot and the Lille Metropole urban community.
These technological potentials, all very scientific, mean better smelling air. We're on the way to softer and more responsible modes of transport.
All forms of soft transport and alternatives to cars are fully integrated, easing the move from one mode to another. You switch from a train to the subway, then from the subway to a V-Lille. You use a Lilas car share vehicle without any problem, and with just one ticket. This is fully multi-mode, in its simplest form to enable users to abandon maybe not their main car, but at least their second.
The transportation of people and the energy transition is a key issue. We talk of smart cities and product service systems, but how can we propagate and include a maximum of people in this culture of transition? My search for an answer took me to the university, where brain cells are nourished, where education and innovation become one.
The questions and challenges we have before us do not simply involve finding technical solutions to produce energy and to continue consuming as before. It is really a global paradigm shift, a change in our relations with society, our environment. And this can be found in all the dimensions of sustainable development, not just the environment and energy dimension, but also a human economy dimension, something frequently referred to as a social business, new economic models.
This zero-carbon university gives total priority to education, fulfillment, and accountability. Today, the students could be seen as the ambassadors of all these principles.
I believe a movement has begun, a sort of awareness. Moreover, our region is particularly interesting from this point of view, due to its industrial past, and to launch a zero-carbon university in the region of coal is pretty significant. And I think that with this project, the region has decided not to go on following those who already started 20 or 25 years ago. But to anticipate the next step, to take the lead, because the most difficult is trying to catch up with those who have already started.
The previous step is high school, where ambition, education, creativity, initiative, discipline, team spirit are developed. Not forgetting the acquiring of talent. This is the place where the citizens of tomorrow are prepared, by teaching them to have confidence in the future. The region has 182,000 high school students and 23,000 apprentices in new generation high schools with their very own fab labs, laboratories designed to help boost their potential. I visited one of these fab labs to understand all about collaborating and sharing skills and knowledge.
In a fab lab, the main priority is one of sharing, a community where people meet other people, for example, a joiner, an electrotechnician, a computer expert with a 3D model designer. And the advantage is to be able to form teams of people who don't all have the same skills to create projects together.
Networking encourages the transparency of communication, and this logic is gradually entering our way of thinking, acting, consuming, and therefore producing.
Je pense clairement une rupture et il faut vraiment l'expliquer aux industriels.
It represents something new and needs explaining to industrialists and all those involved. Every sector is concerned by the revolution if it allows us to create what we want, where we create something real.
This competitive reactivity means changes on the world's economic markets and prepares the way ahead for the major conquests of the Industrial Revolution currently underway. Create, transform, rather than destroy, is the response I was waiting for, with new products of a different quality.
Nous sommes des spécialistes dans la transformation de fibres de lin, qui est une récolte locale.
We are the leaders in the transformation of flax fibers that are produced locally, since the world's largest producer of flax is the Nord-Pas de Calais, all the way to Normandy. It's local know-how for a local product, and the climate is ideal. At Texilis, we work locally to limit our carbon footprint, both for the products we design. There is an enormous industrial wealth here in the Nord-Pas de Calais, and a huge variety of partners despite it being such a small territory. We produce, reap, and compost locally because many people in the area work in composting, meaning we can have a very short circuit.
Increasingly local solutions with increasingly moral values. A new social contract is underway. Man and company are aware of their interdependence and the need to reintroduce greater solidarity between the actors.
These activities create employment and also have a positive economic impact. A circular economy reconciles environmental, social, and economic concerns.
Building a desirable future begins here with recycling, a circular economy. The idea is simple. Take a pair of old jeans ready for the trash and transform them into high-quality thermal insulation.
In the circular solution, there is the image of something that was used and that with the expertise and the technologies available in the region, it can be given a second and a third new life.
The third industrial revolution encourages internet and pushes us towards a service-based economy. We call it the oil of the 21st century. In other words, data. Billions of computer data. Big data that needs storing and protecting.
It is important to know that 2% of the electricity produced in the world is used by data centers. And if we do nothing by 2020, 2025, over 10% of the global production will be absorbed by big data. We need to have optimized installations, operating on multiple time zones using natural cooling resources, like free cooling. Have optimized technical installations, less energy intensive. Eliminate heat losses and use any energy losses to heat the sites. To create a situation described by Lavoisier in which nothing is created, nothing is lost, everything is transformed.
At optical fiber speed, I set off to meet those who allow all this data to flow. In Calais, we produce underwater optical fiber cables that are then connected to optical amplifiers. The whole system is loaded onto one of our cable ships that lays the cable at depths of up to 5.5 miles on the ocean floor. This is internet. Okay, we get the message. Nord-Pas de Calais is the birthplace of the internet. The birthplace of the web, your emails, and Google. The connected era starts here and returns here. A year ago, we began recycling cables. We work backwards. Rather than lay the cables on the seabed, we go and collect them, unthread them, and reuse the materials, giving a new lease on life to the polyethylene, copper, and steel. We did a little carbon footprint calculation of this, and so far we've recycled 3,100 miles of cables, representing 7,000 tons of CO2, the equivalent of a village with 1,000 inhabitants in 1 year. Carbon footprint on the down, data flows, then flows of goods, what goes for smart logistics.
Logistics have no boundaries. The flows go from one border to another. However, the Nord-Pas de Calais is certainly an ideal location sitting at the crossroads of 3 major cities, with a grid of multimodal access, both river, road, and rail, making the area a key logistics hub. It already was for the transport of goods. Today it is even more so for logistics flows that either transit or circulate within the region. The challenge for the supply chain is to reduce its carbon footprint, a logistical challenge, and to reduce energy costs. This means optimizing logistics in line with today's TIR.
Finally, the key question on everyone's lips is not about rethinking the world or even the Nord-Pas de Calais, but to transform it through action with the creation of increasingly interdependent, profitable, sustainable, and revolutionary values. To anticipate so as not to endure. This is what it's all about. The third industrial revolution is no longer a concept, it is real. A catalyzer for projects for greater innovation, initiative, and why not improvisation?
After interacting here, I'm inspired and moved by the passion, the commitment, and the seriousness in which you're taking this. Let this region be a flagship for a third industrial revolution. Let's get us to biosphere consciousness. Let's address climate change. And let's move to a more humane and just economy in which everybody can flourish here in this region and around the world. Thank you.
Today we have crowdfunding, a means to give the power to the people to finance the third industrial revolution via 5 crowdfunding platforms to support both innovative and local projects. Also, a 100% dedicated savings account. A cooperative bank launched the savings account dedicated to the region and its future, the first of its kind in France, to share the objectives and process fairly and also support its success. In practical terms, we could imagine a shift within this economy of contribution where the social value becomes money, where consumers transform into users, and in turn, there would be more logical and mutual exchange between borrowers and contributors. This is a new, less top-down but fairer form of governance, adapted to today's connected world. A new cross-functional approach that takes into consideration the systemic character of the workings of the region. All these people of the Nord-Pas de Calais share a common origin, an identity, and a shared destiny, and have come together to define a project that will become an example for the whole world. History is being written thanks to their experience and expertise to overcome all misgivings to attain the highest value, a sustainable future.
The vision here that starts in this region, Nord-Pas de Calais, is to be a flagship for 7 billion people on this planet.
And what if the best way to achieve this was simply to believe in it?